We'll see. How does that work? Well, let's take a look. We'll go right into the game. Millennium versus Evil Geniuses. At stake, a spot in the quarterfinals. One of these two teams will make it to the final 8 to play on Friday at minimum. And well, would you look at that? Evil Geniuses immediately banning Blitz, and that is a direct counter ban. That is a direct counter ban to none other than Falco, who has been playing Blitz almost exclusively, if not for every single round so far this tournament, and that is going to force him onto another role.
So Glaz also being banned out by Millennium, and Falco calling it right now, Fuse Shield. So he saw the gauntlet being thrown down with the Blitz ban from EG, and he's just in the chat, he's just like, oh, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. We'll play Fuse Shield. That's what's gonna happen, man. And I don't know if it's actually gonna happen, but he has claimed it will.
Well, I mean, Fuse is a poor man's substitute for Blitz.
Whoa. Tell that to Hicks.
Okay. Hicks, he's a poor man's substitute for Blitz.
Oh my gosh.
Maestro getting banned as well from Millennium, taking him out of action. This will likely set Evil Geniuses up to ban Miro, which means that that one kitchen site we were talking about, so many of those strategies involving reinforcing one of the walls, putting an Evil Eye camera on it, it will likely be gone. We'll see if Evil Geniuses has what it takes to ban Mira or not. There she is right there. She just popped up for just a second.
The fade in, but will she be locked in? Nope, it'll be Echo.
Interesting. So Mira will remain. I would say that, yeah, losing Maestro and Echo is tough, but a Mira being on coastline, that gives defenders more of an opportunity to possibly prevail on defense than if she was banned. That's my hot take for the day.
I mean, Echo Maestro ban makes a lot of sense too. Either one of them.
Especially Echo. This is a map where we see a lot of Echo play. Very strong, long angles for him to take fights with that ACOG. Of course, the Bearing 9 for close range.
I mean, Maestro and Echo in competitive basically do the same thing. Echo just has a lot more information gathering potential. The big difference is Echo's mobile. And then the Maestro is, he can see through smokes and do actual damage. It's a trade-off. It's whatever you want to go for. So, Millennium, the French team, going up against Evil Geniuses, the American team. Well, North American team.
North American team. There's a Canadian on it.
Mm-hmm. And they will be going to the Penthouse Theater for the first defensive round. They've also brought Canadian on Pulse, as is pretty typical. He is an excellent Pulse player, and he is going to have a field day, I'm sure, C4ing people from below. There's a lot of potential for that on this site. Millennium has to be wary. Big thing here, Lion left unbanned. And we haven't seen a whole lot of matches where Lion gets left unbanned and is also played. But Millennium already just starting things off with a Lion pick. There's no Fuse Shield, so Paco lied to us.
I mean, you've got Renshiro and Blackbeard. That's pretty standard. I think, if I recall correctly, we see Blackbeard get banned a fair number of times when Millennium is playing for pretty obvious reasons. It was actually Canadian who, when talking about Renshiro on the Blackbeard, whether he's running the DMR or the Scar, he's going to be running the Scar there, as it did see a buff. Absolutely, and yeah, the DMR did see a bit of a nerf. I mean, Canadian's exact words about Renshiro were, the guy just doesn't miss.
Yeah. And when you're not missing and you have a shield in front of your face, what can happen is you can win all of your fights. It's crazy. So he's going to lose the first one. Necrox takes him down with relative ease. And already a bad start for Millennium.
The way that Coastline is played by a lot of European teams is they typically will play a bit more methodical, whether they're on attack or defense. This was something that Rogue did against Team Secret yesterday. Rogue was very, very aggressive on Coastline against Team Secret. And Team Secret didn't really look like they knew how to handle that unbridled aggression from Rogue, playing cheeky peeks, popping up when you wouldn't expect it, that sort of deal. I can definitely see a team like Evil Geniuses running that exact same strategy, also because Evil Geniuses do sometimes play that kind of peek everything, run at you, even when it might not be the smartest idea every single time style of play.
They can tend to, they can play it. I mean, as you know, Evil Geniuses is one of those teams that is good at maneuvering their strategy when it's necessary. Right. They've got the ability to come off of that strategy and do something else, but already a bait and switch there between Necrox and Young. Necrox getting aggressive, as you talked about, peeking into the guitar hallway, and then Young able to get the kill as soon as Necrox's opponent, Rise, peeked into him. You can see LZP, though, going to be moving his way into VIP.
Liven absolutely loving running names that confuse us when we look at it, but that's okay. He's going to just toss a couple grenades in all the way through the bathroom, and it looks like Hicks has been team killed by Liven. Apparently he had frozen in place. Unfortunate, but the Mira will be dispatched by Liven through that soft wall, playing by the Mira window. Falco is in, but could possibly be gassed by the bomb. He'll look all the way towards the theater, but can't get out of the penthouse as he gets a couple shots onto his body, and then the smoke is there to finish him off, and NVK eliminating Liven will be the final kill needed for Evil Geniuses to take round number 1.
Solid defense there from EG. Unfortunate that one of the Millennium players maybe was not participating in the round for whatever reason. And all that aside, it was looking bad for Millennium from the get-go. As soon as they lost their Blackbeard on Repel, things started getting out of hand. You follow that up with the engagement in guitar, and you're losing more bodies. And Millennium didn't have a whole lot to work with when they were going for their actual site push. Interesting that they put no emphasis on VIP wall. They didn't even try to open it up and go for potential smoke plants or anything along those lines. I think they were attempting to do a heavy emphasis on the the main window and just plant in the corner, which can work, but again, Blackbeard dead beginning of round.
Yeah, you got to think that a big part of getting that plant off successfully is having Renshiro play on that window and completely deny your ability as a defense to rotate out of penthouse into master bedroom. Or out of theater into penthouse, my apologies. So losing that Blackbeard meant that the cornerstone of your attack is gone in 30 seconds. It makes it a little bit difficult for you to stick to the strategy that you had laid out, because I think for most people it's very difficult to understand just how important that Blackbeard is on that window. Maybe not even necessarily Blackbeard, maybe a Glaz too, or possibly another operator with a high-power rifle that can sit there and just spray in. Of course, Blackbeard is in a great position because, as you mentioned, he happens to have a pane of glass in front of his face that prevents him from getting headshotted for a couple bullets.
Yeah, now it's a pane of glass. It used to be indestructible. It's a hunk of metal that you could see through. And now it's a pane of glass. But a well-balanced pane of glass indeed. And he has 2 of them if he needs them. So the big conversation with Blackbeard now, after the MK17 damage buff and the nerf to the SR-25, you use the DMR usually if you're going to be playing static positions, so like on repels and stuff like that.
Right.
And then you'll use the MK17 if you're going to be a little bit more dynamic. He actually saw a bit of a buff recently where he received a 30% off of his movement speed reduction, so he moves a lot faster with that shield deployed, and that makes him a much more versatile operator. In
trade-off of losing a tiny bit of that shield for the mobility.
10 points of HP.
It was a pretty big move, and then of course buffing his assault rifle as well. But I mean, I also think that was needed because the DMR of the Blackbeard was just so outlandishly powerful.
It still is. I mean, you saw a 10 damage reduction, I want to say, or thereabouts on the DMR, but it's still mostly the same TTK or STK as it was in the past.
First phone call, or first Lion is going to go out. My apologies. And Hicks, whose name is HicksYZ, will eliminate Canadian, and that was the Pulse that was playing on Roams. Now you've got Necrox playing off on Pink, and NVK situated, just waiting to see if somebody's going to push him in Aqua. Renshiro has been holding this position downstairs in Sunrise Bar, watching the drop hatch, and can be rewarded for his patience if Necrox peaks, which he will. Ooh. But Renshiro, who I said just doesn't miss, will miss the head of the Jaeger, and it's Rise who will be dispatched to go get Necrox, but will get taken out as NVK also gets a kill onto Falco. That was the Sledge playing, and now an advantage that Millennium had is now gone in favor of Evil Geniuses as they are sitting in a 4v3.
Oh. Liven, or LZP. I'm going to call him LZP. That's what he wants to be called, apparently. Playing downstairs in the south office. He's got a good position here to cut off rotation, and you can see the rest of his teammates are focusing on pushing the roamers towards LZP. But I don't know if there's enough time to make this happen. With only 35 seconds on the clock, Millennium, down one man, are going to have to fight directly against the Evil Genius's anchors now, as those roamers have come back to sight. Inside the main lobby, you have the Legion of BC, who gets eliminated by LZP, and now he's got control over Bathroom. This is a really great position to have, but it's being stopped by the gas canisters. Young with the shotgun also gets Renshiro, so he's doing a lot of work right now for his squad. The last two attackers moving their way in through delivery. Pistol out right now, no time to reload. He does get the headshot onto Young, that was very clean, goes for a follow-up, and will get the down onto Yanger, but NVK finally manages to finish him off. The last player on the attack, Hicks, in the post plant, 1 versus 1 against NVK. This is potentially winnable for either player, but obviously Hicks has a huge advantage, and that is the timer is in his favor. NVK going for the peek. He's got to really guess on these angles, but the pre-fire from Hicks is actually giving away his position. NVK still looks a little uncertain. He comes out raw with the SMG-12. He's looking for the fight. He knows where his opponent is, goes for the pre-fire, but cannot land the shot. NVK goes down. Hicks, with the detection, thanks to NVK being outside, will get that final kill and lock out the round. The first one for Millennium, 1-1.
And look at that, the defense, or the my apologies, the defense losing a round. What a shocker. So Kitchen will remain in a position where Evil Geniuses can go back there. It does look like they will do that. Unbelievable that that round was saved by Liven walking in with the pistol out and getting 2 big kills. That GIGN pistol is very deceptively strong. I know that a lot of people will run the revolver in place of that pistol just because, well, it's a revolver.
Revolvers are fun.
Revolvers are fun. They're cool. And the revolver is not a weak weapon if you can land your shots. But of course, the pistol having a larger magazine size is not a bad choice by any stretch of the imagination. And I think Liven knew that he needed to take that engagement at a much closer range than he could have with his assault rifle out.
So, even split so far, although that last round did certainly look like it was in Evil Genius's favor, just slipping away at the last moment. Evil Geniuses will go back to the kitchen, as you said, because they did lose here. They are able to defend it once more. And I gotta say, probably the right decision, considering how well they defended it last time. Again, EG really had the round going in their favor, and then suddenly, you know, last two attackers come in through delivery. They managed to get the defuse plant, and they play the post perfectly.
There was also the fact that Evil Geniuses were stacked up, pushing in through Bathroom together.
Oh, yeah.
You were funneling in. It was a very one-dimensional retake. Given an extra couple seconds, they might have been able to work through that soft wall and then have somebody else push through the bathroom door towards that delivery/service area. But, I mean, just unable to actually have that happen, as Liven got very aggressive as the plant went down, which was the absolute right call. So the French will equalize. And now we'll give Evil Geniuses another crack at the kitchen service area to see if they can do anything different this time.
We've got the very similar roam strategy. Pretty much the same thing they did last time. And last time it worked out great for them. This time, though, it looks like Millennium is putting a very big emphasis on taking out these roamers. The EE1D forcing Jaeger, that's Necrox, to stand still, and Rise will finish him off. Good teamwork there for Millennium. The drones, the marks, and the EE1D all contributing to that.
Excellent entry. You had 2 people droning, it appeared. Then you also had 2 do entry work alongside the Lion. That is a predicament that Necrox and NVK don't really find themselves walking away from alive. Necrox, of course, does not. NVK has managed to get back downstairs, and Canadian working his way closer towards the site as he plays just aggressively inside a Sunrise bar. This allowed Millennium, though, to take almost complete control of that second floor and can begin to clamp down on Evil Geniuses. Of course, having the Zofia and, Canadian missing not enough damage as he takes an engagement on those Cool Vibe stairs. He'll be held for 4 seconds as Lion's final motion detection gadget will go off. We've got Rise, who will exist with about 15 HP. Playing inside a hookah, he'll drop through the open hatch, go for a pre-fire onto Canadian, knowing that the Valkyrie is there. It's a very high-powered weapon. Canadian will miss his C4, and then Rise, a beautiful shot to take Canadian out and blow open an even larger lead, just like the wall, as he works his way back out of Sunrise Bar. NVK right now sitting in the main lobby, trying to watch if anybody's going to push from Sunrise Bar, but he gets droned out and will need to move.
You see Renshiro aware of that position that MVK is playing, and he's looking for the angle. But MVK has chosen to relocate. Looks like he's moving his way upstairs, and Liven is there to catch him. BC gets the long angle onto Renshiro as he pushes into the main lobby, and now BC the one to take up NVK's mantle and look for the fights in the main lobby. But equally, he peeks into someone he is not prepared to fight, and Falco takes that one, leaving Young, the final defender, playing inside of A. He's got the gas canisters, but he's being disrupted by those Zofia lifelines, and Falco will hit the nearly hip fire, but just in the middle of the scope transition headshot, finishing the round, and Millennium will be up 2-1.
That slow ADS speed, looking very similar to some trick shots that we used to have seen in other particular titles, so to speak.
Yes.
Yes, very, very, very close to those kinds of trick shots.
Stop it.
No.
So Millennium, they've been looking really good.
And you're also going to see now that maybe we won't go back to Kitchen. Penthouse is back, unlocked for Evil Geniuses, and that's where they are going to place their stake for round number 4. They've only got 2 rounds left, so if they win on Penthouse here, they will have to go to another site for just one more round, and that will be that.
I gotta say, I agree with the decision to change the sites after losing 2 on Kitchen. You know, some teams will just try to force it out. Evil Geniuses did try to force out 1 round after a loss, but that didn't work out for them, and they're gonna think better now, finally going to back to the penthouse. Now, they could have gone to anywhere else. I mean, we always talk about coastline, you know. Every single one of the sites is technically defensible, but they seem to only want to play penthouse and kitchen right now. And penthouse whenever available. See Canadian back on the pulse, so he can play C4 from below. And again, he's very proficient at that as an individual. Yeah, so, okay, he said Renshiro doesn't miss. And he hasn't gotten a kill yet, but they've also rotated him off of Blackbeard. So now Falco's been playing Blackbeard. I believe he also played it last round.
He did.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, whenever we saw Blackbeard getting banned, Renshiro would often play either Hibana or Lion, I want to say, in previous matchups. So this is a role that shouldn't be too foreign to him. You've taken Falco off of Blitz and you've put another shield in front of his face. That's going to be the Blackbeard. And you can empower that style of play. I mean, it worked last round. Falco was able to collect a double.
Plus, if you do happen to be missing in the moment, then yeah, it doesn't matter if you miss necessarily if you're playing Lion. You can just influence the round by pressing a button when it matters the most. So, Hicks on Repel. He's probably just going to be opening up the drop down. You don't really need the X-Caros for too much here. Can be handy if you're not going for a VIP wall take. So clearly Millennium doesn't put a lot of stock in a VIP wall take. And it actually makes a lot of sense because guess who's on the other team? Canadian. What does Canadian like to play? Pulse. Where is he going to be playing it? From below. So VIP becomes kind of a minefield at that point. And you really don't want to be dealing with that. So smart play, I'd say, for Millennium, shifting away from that take. And we'll see if it works.
Could possibly use the Hibana as well on the theater wall, too, to try and put pressure on them there. It would also force both the players on the mirrors to have to vacate because the mirrors are going to be facing the other way, which is an advantageous position to find yourself in. Young is going to get the first kill. It's on to Rise. So the Zofia and all of those lifelines will no longer be accessible to Millennium, which means that the ADSs that NVK have might become a lot more valuable now.
Absolutely. Harder to clear them out with less projectiles. Quite a lot less. A lot less, and that's one of the things that Zofia is capable of accomplishing as well. If Liven happens to have both, whoops, IQ doesn't have frag grenades. Ooh, that feels bad, man. EE1E gonna be going down, and Renshiro looking for the angle onto Young. The marks are coming, but the frags will not. Liven gets down as he attempts to challenge the main hallway. A little flurry of action here. Necrox a rush into Guitar, and he gets 2, but cannot get the 3rd. Falco in a great position to get the refrag. Renshiro has dropped into Bathroom, and these are the last 2 attackers in a 2 versus 4. It's not looking great. They still have to face these mirror windows. Oh, what a pre-fire from Renshiro! And he starts his push into the site. The one still active mirror window. And the C4 from below, I believe, or just in front even.
But you've still got Canadian possibly playing below with that C4. And it's moved upstairs, my apologies. But if they know that Falco's repelled out on that window, they could possibly go for a run out at some point and try to take him down. They don't really need to get that aggressive. There's only 30 seconds left. Trying to figure out where it is. They know they've got Diffuser down in Red Hall. Guitar, that is going to be a major stumbling block for Millennium right now. Falco's going to have to either drop through the bathroom or look to rotate, but he's only got 10 seconds to go. He'll drop and just try to take an engagement. A lot of patience from BC. The call just needs to be made that he's pushing out a bathroom. Falco, in an act of desperation, will shoot away at the soft wall, but every single member of EG will hide. Falco does get the dig on the NVK, but it's a very low impact frag, and both times that EG will go to penthouse, they will prevail. They'll have to go to another site as we enter the final round of Evil Genius's defense and Millennium's final round on attack.
We've only got 2 sites so far, and it looks like they're going to continue that. Going to Kitchen as their final bomb site. They have not managed to make Kitchen work for them yet, and Millennium want to keep that going as long as they can. Now, whoever wins this round will take the first half, and if Evil Geniuses can manage to get it away, again, this being kind of an attacker-favored map, that will put them in a great position when they transition over to attack themselves. Operator selection, nothing terribly surprising here. However, we do have Liven using an Ashe, which is not exactly normal anymore. An operator that doesn't see much. Well, she's actually been kind of played a lot at this LAN event. It's a little bit weird.
I was going to say, Ashe has seen this strange resurgence in popularity over the last 24 hours. Maybe it's just because we've talked about how the LAN build is different.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Ashe just feels different this time around, but I'm not entirely certain. That's not a call that I'm comfortable making, but teams are finding good uses for her.
I can tell you that the game is a lot more responsive on LAN, and operator speed values become a little bit less relevant, but she has the complete package. And for sometimes when you're like struggling to transition from that online environment to that LAN environment, you might want to pick up an Ashe because it's gonna help fill the gaps that the big divide between online and LAN on an individual level.
Right.
Now, speaking of the gap, Evil Geniuses, they've got a huge gap between themselves and winning Kitchen. They've managed to lose it twice now, and it's been pretty decisive for Millennium every time they've managed to take this site. The big question is, can EG change that? Because it doesn't look like they were even close last couple attempts.
So final round of the split here, Michael, for both teams. Plenty of utility, though I am kind of amazed at that Millennium is going with such a frag-heavy role. I mean, yes, the Blackbeard and the Zofia are going to be great fragging operators. The Ashe is going to be your primary frag getter as Liven. There's not actually as much utility on Millennium as other compositions that they could have bothered to run with. They will be able to freeze people in place and then also hammer them with the lifeline, but outside of that, it's pretty much all just fragging all the way down.
I mean, I would say there's very little utility. It's, as you said, pretty much, if we're talking about pure utility, not soft destruction, not disruption, but like utility, you've got Lion and the Hard Reacher. That's pretty much, those are the forms of utility you have.
You can make an argument, I think, that Zofia is.
Well, like I said, you know, just ignoring the Zofia and Ashe.
Right.
You know, if we really look at them, they're more fragging operators. I mean, Zofia's kind of a hybrid, if you want to look at it that way, but either way, it's less dedicated than a lot. Point being, very little utility. You're right. Vertical control established here for Millennium. They're going to start opening up a lot of holes and started going for that that pressure. Some missed opportunities via missed shots there from Liven. Their EE1D was popped, so there was potential for a kill.
They did it a bit too late. BC's able to get out of there with his lives still intact, and Renshiro falling as the Lion means that will be the lone EE1D that is used. Though the Blackbeard of Falco from above tear through Young. Young didn't need to take that fight, but he did, getting a bit too brazen, and he'll pay for it. Falco, not a scratch on him, though rises down from NVK, and Evil Geniuses will take some damage to both NVK and BC, but overall, you got a minute left, and you've still got an opportunity to just wait them out. there hasn't really been a concerted push towards the site from Millennium just yet. That's why you're seeing Hicks work away at the long reinforced wall just by bathroom. Liven and Falco are going to have to get closer to the site because they're running out of time. And you can see that Hicks is working his way up. He has opened up that wall. He's got some barbed wire waiting to greet him in the bathroom door.
Yeah. Evil Geniuses set up well to potentially get their very first kitchen defense. And you can see Falco's going to start his push in through delivery. The Gershmat will give away his position, but it doesn't look like anyone's able to capitalize. He will also hit some Legion traps, and he's going to have to pull that out of his foot. Liven is pretty far away from the engagement, but he's trying to cut off rotation. He will be unsuccessful in that endeavor, but Falco does compensate. BC gets a double kill, the two players pushing in through delivery, leaving Liven the last attacker, and there is no time. Evil Geniuses will take the first half, 3-2 their favor on Coastline of all maps.
So the defenders walking away with over half of the rounds on the first split is a pretty big feather in your cap for Evil Geniuses. That round was single-handedly won, I want to say, by BC. First and foremost, his ability to evade the Lion and the Ash charge that was opened up the floor above him or the ceiling above him. Very important. But then getting those two clutch kills, managing to outduel two pretty proficient shooters from Millennium. Not an easy task to do, and he did it. Putting him, and that right there was the big difference maker. And I know what they were trying to do with Liven upstairs. They were trying to make sure that he could cover all of those open holes, make sure that there were no rotations. But his job was to kill BC, and he failed at doing it.
Yeah, ultimately. He even had an Ash charge right above him during an EE1D. You know, it's perfect timing for a kill, but it didn't happen. Unfortunate, that's for sure, but Millennium can still recover. This is still just the second half of the first map. There is yet time. Millennium will start with the double bar defense. Evil Geniuses also a very fragger heavy lineup. They've actually got a just oddly similar lineup on attack to what Millennium was running as well. And for the defense, it's a little bit of a change. Obviously, we're going to a different site, so you need different operators. Castle going to be a pretty big one for Millennium. He's going to be able to delay quite a lot on those pushes upstairs, as well as just make it so if you need to avoid a particular flank, he can be of assistance in that regard. We've also seen some strategies from some teams in Coastline where the Castle on double bar defense will just draw lines through the middle of the map on the first floor. So you can reinforce two doorways, and then suddenly there's a lot more maneuverability. But I don't know if that's exactly what Millennium's trying to pull off right now.
Not entirely certain, but the first time that we are going to see a site that is not penthouse and kitchen. The double bars has been an interesting place for teams to play. Of course, having the smoke available from Hicks is going to be of major importance to ensure that this push that's going to come through that main foyer, which is the door that Young just worked away at knocking down, doesn't bear as much fruit as they want.
I mean, it's an open door, right? Could potentially lead to opportunities, but we'll find out. MVK on the northwest balcony, going to be pressuring into Hookah. It's a very powerful position to hold Hookah. It allows you to deny the Sunrise Bar plant later in the round, and MVK obviously, as a result, needs to do something about that. Right now, I believe it's Rise who's playing in there, and he has a good position with a mirror window facing towards Billiards, but he's going to be confronted with some Badent fights as MVK starts moving his way in through the door and gets the kill.
Rise not having the greatest start to today is the first casualty for Millennium with about half of the round to go. Both teams, at least from what we've seen so far, both teams have taken their sweet time addressing the roam on that second floor. BC, whose projectiles are always on point, will manage to take care of Falco with that frag grenade being tossed in. That's good usage. One gadget for one kill. That's the Legion gone from Millennium. And Evil Geniuses finds themselves already with an advantage, but a great peek from Renshiro through the barricade as Young tries to open it up. The Necrox on the stairs will take out Hicks, so both teams will lose one. A C4 from Renshiro will just miss. BC very narrowly loses it to that Nitro cell. There's a minute to go and only two members of Millennium. Renshiro pushing up onto Cool Vibe stairs. An EE1D could possibly spell his undoing, but he's got his guns trained at the stairs. Canadian eliminates Liven, and Renshiro is the last man standing.
And after being detected, it is very unlikely he will survive. He's full flashed right now, and he is starting to fall his way back to the Sunrise Bar. He has all the kills for his team thus far, but it'd be hard to get another 3. Canadian able to get that final kill from inside of the Sunrise Bar, and Evil Geniuses will take the first round of the second half, putting themselves up 4-2.
Vector's a great weapon, don't get me wrong, but taking 2 to 3 possible enemies, not exactly going to be useful with the small size of that magazine, especially when you're in a position where they also have to potentially go for the plan and can push you from 2 separate angles. After going down 3-2 in the first half, Millennium is going to take a timeout. And this team is better than how they've played so far. I'm not certain how much the change of adding Falco has changed the actual team as a whole. But just the way that they're playing, that free-flowing movement that we've seen from Millennium in the past, they are one of the more aggressive European teams too, typically. It hasn't really been there for them.
No, it certainly has not. It seems like they're panicking a little bit, possibly. But Evil Geniuses, on the other hand, have been playing exceptionally well, as we expect from EG, but also, you know, a little bit better than, honestly, than usual. They've had not the perfect season so far in the Pro League. And we all know, I think, that Evil Geniuses is a bit of a land team, but still, this tactical pause hopefully will be enough for Millennium to start their recovery.
2 of the teams that have been to the most lands over the last little while as well. I mean, Millennium has been to the French lands. They were in DreamHack Austin. They were in DreamHack Valencia. They went to Atlantic City. This is a team that, with really the exception of the 6 Invitational, they've been at every single land since then. So pretty incredible for them. We also do have an update on another match, so spoilers inbound, close your ears. Fnatic has defeated Mocket by a score of 2-1, and Mocket are done. Their time at the Paris Major is no more. Fnatic will play Ninjas in Pajamas tomorrow in a pretty exciting rematch, I would imagine, with the winner of that matchup going into the quarterfinals.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
So, Millennium going to be sitting up on Kitchen. A different site indeed, but we've been seeing it quite a lot from Evil Geniuses. This is the first time we're seeing it from Millennium, as they just went to the double bar. Kind of hoping for a little bit more site diversity, maybe a hookah defense. Would be neat, but I seriously doubt at this point that we'll make our way to that site in this match. Maybe in overtime, if we get there. Before then, though, the setup coming from Millennium, you can see they're going to be investing heavily in the top floor. There's a Mira in play, and Evil Geniuses have accordingly brought Canadian on that Twitch, an operator that directly counters the Mira windows.
I'm still amazed more than anything that Mira remained unbanned, but this is going to be fast. E1D goes, but Renshiro greets Necrox as the opening push goes in. Plant does appear to be going down, but there's no coverage at all. Evil Genius is trying to ape the strategy. Renshiro with 3, but NVK is there, and Canadian will pick up a pair themselves, meaning that it's 3v2. Still an advantage in favor of Millennium. That all-or-nothing strat to try to get a plant down in the doorway of service or delivery, not going anywhere. And now NVK and Canadian will have to regroup and figure out a new strategy to deal with the 3 remaining members of Millennium.
And they'll do their best. NVK coming in through the front door. The big thing here for the EG players is that they have 2 whole minutes to work with, and that's a lot of time for an attacker. Canadian looking to potentially get some of those mirror windows, but also other gadgetry. That's not good to be missing those zaps. Of course, you don't have as many anymore. Just 5 per drone, and already 2 used up. He's going to spot out the smoke who's playing in storage and call that out to his teammate who is just behind, pushing his way into bathroom. This could potentially be a really easy kill, depending on what Liven is looking at right now. But he's going to continue to play safe inside of storage, and he's actually aware of the pressure from NVK, and will detonate a gas canister accordingly.
Now, because this mirror window's opened up, you can see the Canadian will have a long angle to possibly play at, but the impact hole that is above them will be possible cause for concern. NVK will very slowly work his way up the pulse on the other side of the wall. NVK will be greeted by the smoke of Liven. Will go for a pre-fire to maybe try to draw somebody out, and The shotgun of Liven will be a fatal matchup for NVK, depending on how he plays this. You had Canadian also upstairs to make sure it was clear, but now that F2 just in a position to possibly get a kill, but it's Liven who'll pull out his SMG. 11 Canadian down, and NVK last man standing. He'll get a kill on the Liven, but there's still 2 more to go. Where is Rise? That will be the big question. Some concussive blasts from NVK will go, and Rise looking to flank. He'll spray through the wall, a good read. And that is Millennium using their bodies to shut down Evil Geniuses, knowing that they could have a pinch. And pinch NVK they shall. That was a big round for Millennium. They needed that win.
They absolutely did, and it actually looked like there might have been a recovery for EG. They stacked up far too few players on the delivery push. If you're going to be going for a delivery push, you need there to be enough manpower to pull it off. And there just wasn't. EG got shredded by just Renshiro, the 3K. And from there was really not a whole lot of chance at a recovery.
I mean, are we also going to just ignore the fact that entire strategy was to just rush into service, but they didn't do it with any smokes?
See, that's the thing, is that the strategy can work. They just executed it poorly, is what I was trying to get at.
Very poor execution. There
was not a lot of utility usage, as you said. There also wasn't enough manpower investment in the actual strategy. You saw MVK and Canadian, the reason they survived is they were far field in Sunrise Bar and over by Hookah. So definitely not a great strat from EG. And Millennium able to seize the opportunity and get the win.
You are not G2. You are not Ninjas in Pajamas. It won't work. A pretty even spread for all the players on these teams, though, so everybody pulling their weight in terms of killing potential. Outside of that, I haven't really seen anything glaringly obvious that needs to potentially be moved on or reworked for either of these teams. So,
no, they've been both playing pretty well. That's, I think, the nature of this matchup. You've got two pretty titans. There are two pretty big titans playing against each other between a Millennium and Evil Geniuses. Some of the best, or two of the best teams in all the world.
Possible spawn peek here for Rise, is that's all too common when you see an ACOG get trotted out from the defenders to know that there's likely going to be a potential peek at some point, but who knows exactly what Rise is going to do. At least opening up those windows will give some pause to the attackers. As is typical, they won't know exactly where they might get peeked from, especially if they know that there's a potential ACOG on the board. That could slow them down. Anywho, you saw Young manage to work his way to the top of the roof, looking for a Valkyrie cam. Very common to try to see a Valkyrie cam tossed out onto that palm tree that is in the midst of the courtyard, or that you can throw to from that open skylight in the courtyard.
Yeah, lots of information to be gathered that way. Pretty common to play Valkyrie on coastline as well, as you said. MVK moving his way into VIP. There, you can see the objective here for Evil Geniuses is just to clear out as many roamers as possible. We are actually seeing Hookah, which is the first time it will be played on this map thus far. EE1D utilized here by Evil Geniuses. Rise has to stand still at the top of lobby stairs. Pretty much a really easy kill for Necrox. Using those drones, using his EE1D to secure it. Well done indeed, and that's an easy frag. Millennium really should not have had one of their roamers all the way over by the top of main stairs. That was a poor position to be played.
And he'd been playing there since the prep phase as well. Renshiro, who's actually having probably the best day of anybody on his team, will continue to rack him up as NVK. The Zofia will be the opening death for Evil Geniuses. Necrox will burn his second motion detector drone to keep everybody from moving. Suspecting that somebody might be playing in security, we saw that the Legion of Falco is playing down in offices. He's going to continuously move. That's Necrox who'll crouch walk his way in, but I don't think he's going to be quick enough to see where Falco possibly could be. You've also got the Valkyrie of Liven playing in the bathroom downstairs. So, you mentioned Hookah. We got a pretty big investment in 2 of the 4 bodies of Millennium being quite far offside.
Canadian and his teammate moving into Aqua, but actually Canadian's going to start rotating off of that. You would have expected an Aqua push at this situation, but he knows Falco is downstairs in Blue Bar, and he apparently wants to take that fight. He's going to move over to the northwest balcony. Actually, I think he did a little bit of damage just now through the barricade to Renshiro. Just one bullet seemingly hit around the thigh area. Renshiro's looking for the fight. It's a very dangerous thing to challenge. He has been hitting his shots, though, so it could work. 20 seconds left, and Renshiro will not hit his shots this time. Canadian manages to get the Mira. That is expected in an engagement like that, but look at the time. As Falco gets Canadian, that's a lot of the backwards pressure alleviated and allows Hicks to get an easy kill onto BC. Necrox also trying to push in from Aqua, and he will actually get the win. Wow, 2 for Necrox, and he's got site control. But it's a 1 versus 1 on 0-0-0. The C4 from below will likely hit the mark. Live in with the clutch, and Millennium will take another round, putting them on 4-4.
Biggest mistake that Evil Geniuses made was not bothering to secure the position of the roamers whatsoever. They did not, I don't even see if they knew where Valkyrie was. I'm not entirely certain. However, it didn't really matter. You've got a Valkyrie or a Pulse playing beneath the site. Yeah, you're probably going to anticipate that you're going to get blown sky high with a C4, likely having that intel, especially if they knew where they dropped the diffuser, which they did indeed know that. And with Necrox being the last man alive and the clock at 0, you're left with next to no options other than plant, lose, or die.
And that was such a nice try from Necrox as well. That's the real big bummer. He managed to get the player on a mirror window, an intact mirror window, across the field from him, and then also the immediate rush. Given the clock, that rush made sense from the Millennium defender. But then Liven downstairs with the C4, there's not really much he can do about that, especially, considering he has to plant the diffuser. Could be Evil Genius is putting us onto match point unless Millennium has managed to adapt, and I'm sure they have.
There's no reason why Hicks, who's playing behind that mirror window, though, trying to fight against Necrox, needed to take that engagement. He didn't necessarily need to toss his life away like that, and he really shouldn't have lost. I mean, Necrox is pushing a mirror window with the person behind it, who was Hicks in this position, trying to jiggle his way around that black mirror. Necrox, that was pivotal. Obviously, it was all for naught. As well, the lack of a Lion ban here is showing you how much reliance Evil Geniuses will put on him. They've been running a Lion regularly, and maybe not the best usage, especially on that one push that we saw in Kitchen and Delivery, but when you've got a Lion on the board, they use it to secure a free kill on Rise. You basically traded one use of your gadget to get a freebie on your opponent. That's a pretty good trade-off a lot of the times, especially with how many teams do squander the potential that the EE1D of a Lion gives you.
I mean, I can tell you also, like, playing a Lion in general is kind of a risk because as an operator, he very rarely is left unbanned these days. And he's very useful, yes, but he can become a crutch. You have to be careful of not allowing him to go that way. But, of course, EG very good at playing without Lion. Although he's available, so why not, I think is the conversation here. But in other situations, yeah, definitely got to be aware of the potential for him being a crutch. So, BC opening up the castle barricade into Hookah. That's going to apply some pressure to the roamer of Rise who's playing that position. He has played this pretty well so far. We've seen this defense before, but last time I believe it was MVK just walked in on Zofia and managed to get the kill. E1D countered by the gas canisters. Flashbangs going out, though, to follow it up. Necrox can eat a little bit of damage, and there's no actual push coming. Rise is going to actually just fall back to site. Necrox will get Falco, the Legion, so that's a very important kill, but there will not be a follow-up onto Rise. No complete disadvantage here for Millennium. They've just lost top 4 control.
Losing top 4 control with about half of the round to go is a much quicker pace than we've seen from certain teams. Dokkaebi phone call will keep Millennium still for a couple seconds while they reset their devices and allow Evil Geniuses to take more map control away as they enter in through the building. As well, what that push did was force Hicks to exhaust 2 of his Toxic Babes, which will leave him with a lowered utility from here on out. You still have the C4s available, as we just saw, prepped and ready in the hand of Renshiro as he looks possibly in a position to launch one up through the open hatch, but there's a lot of the ceiling that is open above Renshiro, and it will force him to have to keep moving. A great shot on the Necrox. Mistakenly thinks that his falling body is another person and goes for a second one tap. He landed it, congratulations, but unfortunately, you can only kill him once.
Renchiro's really been hitting his shots today. BC with a nade will get Hicks playing just underneath the stairs. Perfectly timed and perfectly placed. He's going for another one. He sees Renchiro but cannot land the shot, but he forces Renchiro into Canadian's line of sight. And Evil Geniuses now have a very decisive lead, but Rise could be the playmake to get this back in his team's favor if he just peaks at the right moment, which is now, but he's losing the opportunity. He will get MVK, very important frag, but now his position is given away. BC is still inside of Hookah, and he's going to actually just drop into the site, reading the situation, knowing that Rise is above. There's only one potential anchor, and that's Liven. Liven will get BC, but he's got to fight against his own mirror window. As he pushes towards Sunrise Bar, Rise has run outside, and he is now the last defender. He was detected, he's vaulted back in. And from behind, the Zofia will be using a lifeline to disrupt the castle. Doesn't even need to take the fight. Just play off time. The diffuser is planted. It's all in the hands of the attackers right now. And as Rise goes outside yet again, he cannot find the fight that he oh so very needs. He looks upstairs. Cannot get the engagement. Canadian from the hallway will shut down Rise and win the round for his team.
Good coordination from Evil Geniuses, and Rise just that bit of hesitation. I don't think he had any calls and was going in blind, unaware if somebody was potentially watching flank on Cool Vibes, and I think that's a pretty good bet to make. We knew that there was a body playing on Cool Vibe stairs. The presumption was that he knew as well. The body that was there on Cool Vibe stairs could have potentially been doing that hard hold flank watch, in which Rise would have just given his position away. Of course, they were on a drone, and as he pushed, he got the kill. BC dropping through the hatch could have been next on deck, but as you said, he read the situation appropriately. But more importantly, they read the clock appropriately. They were running out of time, and they needed to get their execute underway. Even though Liven almost came close to equalizing it, it was still a winnable situation for Millennium. But in terms of the actual post-plan, it was handled perfectly by Evil Geniuses and was basically an unwinnable situation from Rise, outside of two incredibly skilled shots.
You gotta say, though, BC's rotation downstairs, really great play. You know, I'd say about 7 out of 10 pro players stay upstairs and try to take that fight with the roamer, and they waste too much time, and their teammate is unable to plant the diffuser. But BC read it right, and he played it right. He allowed for his teammate to plant the diffuser deep inside of Sunrise, and now Millennium are the ones on the back foot. 5-4, Evil Genius's favor. And here's the big thing. They lost 2 rounds in a row, and they only just now started to rekindle their fire. So they're going to have to keep that going as they attack onto Kitchen. Last time they attacked Kitchen, it was, well, it was pretty bad. They pushed 3 people in through delivery and 2 over by Sunrise Bar. And the last 2 over by Sunrise Bar were the only ones left standing after about 40 seconds had transpired. A little bit of a rush strategy. Not really a rush strategy, just more of an aggressive push in through delivery, and it didn't work out for him. We'll have to adapt a little bit here to make changes.
Give Millennium credit for a couple things, but on top of that, the way that they've been setting up and constructing these holds upstairs are unlike a lot of other teams in the way that we've seen, especially Coastline in particular, which we have seen a lot of Coastline over the last day. I think that's part of why we see Evil Geniuses taking a while to be able to clear this out, and why I also think that, you know, Millennium is taking longer to clear it out from Evil Geniuses, because, as I mentioned earlier on, the way that European teams typically play...
Well,
all right!
So he can drone out his teammate now, I guess, and, you know, in a way, he could be very useful droning from the other side of the building. Necrox will take out Hicks. So a very good kill there onto the Pulse. That means that a lot of information is no longer being gathered for Millennium. They also haven't been playing much Valkyrie yet today.
BC will take out Rise, and Necrox eliminating Liven. I'm not exactly certain what happened, but that drone throw appeared to have been a big difference maker. E1D and phone calls mean that Falco, as he sprints, will be graded into NVK's waiting arms. That'll leave Renchiro in an ace clutch situation with the match on the line, and his phone will go off again. Anybody in close proximity will be alerted to his position, as EG will just take their time. They just need to plot into the site. They got 90 seconds. Renchiro, with that Vector, as noted earlier, doesn't exactly have the largest magazine capacity to be able to take down multiple opponents in quick succession. She's no Ella, let's put it that way. But Renshiro just waiting for the push. He'll see the drone from Canadian. He'll completely miss, and inside a kitchen, NVK will get the kill onto Renshiro. That'll be it for Millennium on map number 1. EG will take it by a score of 6-3, it appears. Unless my...
6-4.
6-4. I don't know how to do math.
Well, I believe Millennium won the hookah defense.
That is correct.
So...
That's correct. I put the... we keep track on the columns. I put it in the wrong column.
Oh, whoops.
Whoops. So there we go. It's fixed now. But anywho, we got Oregon next for us.
Necrox dropping 12 frags for his team.
Very quietly doing that. Eh?
Yeah.
It seemed like he was able to get close to almost 2 a round, and that